Lo, by Charles Hoyfort, Part 1, Chapter 6d. On Saturday, August 21st, 1920, all statues and holy pictures in the home of Thomas Dwan of Templemore, Tipperary, Ireland, began to bleed. See newspapers of August 24th. A boy, James Walsh, a devout youngster, aged 16, was the center of the reported phenomena at Templemore. Perhaps the bleeding statues and pictures were trickeries of his. All boys and girls are little rascals. This is a generalization that one can feel somewhat nearly sure of until it is examined. Then, because of continuity, we find that we cannot define boys and girls, because no definite line can be drawn between youngsters and adults. Also, rascality and virtue merge. Well, without arguing, I say that if all the boys and girls who appear in our records were rascals, they were most expert little rascals. Towns in terror, terrible bloodshed, bombs and burnings, shocking series of murders, hellish vandalism, brutality and terrorism, hangings, ambushes, raids. Whatever the association may be, I note conditions in Ireland at this time. Here is one newspaper heading, telling of occurrences of one day, reign of terror in Ireland, terrible massacre, appalling loss of life, Holocaust, bloodshed and horror. 5 days before the phenomena at Templemore were first reported, this town was raided. The town hall was burned down, and other buildings were destroyed. Templemore was terrorized. All shops were closed. Few persons dared to be seen in the streets. On the road to Templemore there was not a cart. The town was partly in ruins. It was God-forsaken and shilling and pence deserted. I take from the Tipperary Star. In Dwan's house, and in the house of his sister-in-law, Mrs. Smar, where lived and worked a young man, James Walsh, statues started to bleed simultaneously. This news sneaked up and down the roads. Its carriers were stealths amidst desolation and ruin. Then they scurried from farm to farm, and people were coming out from their homes. They went to Templemore to see. Then they went in droves. The roads began to hum. Sounds of tramping and the creaking of wheels, men and horses and primitive old carts and slickest of new cars from cities. It was medievalism honked with horns, or one of the crusades, with chariots slinging out beer bottles. And anachronism is just one more of the preposterous errors of life, nature, or an organism, or whomever, or whatever may be the artist that does these things. The roads began to roar. Strings of people became ropes of marching thousands. Hope and curiosity, piety and hilarity, and the incentive to make it a holiday. Out for the fun of it, out to write letters to the newspapers, exposing the fakery of it, out to confirm religious teachings. But maybe all this cannot be explained in terms only of known human feelings. It was as enormous as some of the other movements of living things that I shall tell of. Then the news that was exciting Ireland was going out to the world.